Hello and welcome back to my FPL channel. I am FPL D and congratulations go to the Lionesses who got the job done, unlike the men, for the second time running in the Euros. They brought it home after leading for only 4 minutes and 50 odd seconds in the knockout stages. That is fantastic. Gareth Southgate, I hope you take note. Hopefully Thomas Tuchel is as well. The pressure's now on the boys to do this in the World Cup next year. With that being said though, we are here for FPL content and we are going to be talking about the 4 big premium dogs that are costing over 10 million. That's Cole Palmer, Isaac, Mo Salah and Haaland, and what the best draft structure is. I've got drafts that focus on a bunch of different strategies. Let me know what you think about these 4 particular players in the comments. Smash a like on the video as well in order to get me out there as far as possible. And also join the WhatsApp group. It's free. It's in the video description. And if you haven't already subscribed, you know what to do. Smash that subscribe button and let's go. The 4 premiums. There's technically more. You could say Saka's a premium as well at 10 million, but I'm focusing on the blokes that cost you over 10 million pounds. And we're going to start with the forwards and then we're going to look at the midfields and what I generally think about these 4 players and what my likelihood is of me having them in my own actual teams. So let's start with Isaac, the man that wants out of Newcastle. Not ideal if you're a Newcastle fan, so I actually think it's bad for the league if he goes to Liverpool as well, and I don't know what that means for Salah if he goes. But at the moment, I don't have any drafts that have Isaac in them, and that is because of the fact that I'm not sure whether he's going to be at the Newcastle, whether he's going to be at Liverpool, or what's going on. And with that uncertainty heading into the new season, he's probably highly likely not to be as fit as these other 3 premiums are when it gets to game week 1. And I'm surprised that he's owned by 36% of the competition at the moment. With this uncertainty hanging around him, I think if he stays at Newcastle, he's a better asset than if he goes to Liverpool. That's my personal opinion. Whether that turns out to be correct or not, I'm not sure. But if we have a look at his stats last year, he started in 34 games out of 38, which is pretty good. He scored 23 goals, second to Mo Salah last season. He had 6 assists and he racked up 36 bonus points. All these guys are bonus points monster machines from last season. However, Isaac and Salah in particular benefited quite a lot from penalties, and penalties this year are not going to be as beneficial to them moving forward with the nerfs to the bonus point system. But he had a 0.66 expected goals per 90 and 0.12 expected assists per 90. Now, the thing that puts me off Isaac at the moment, even if we look at the fixtures is where I'm put off by both Newcastle and Liverpool assets in general. Aston Villa away, Liverpool at home, not ideal. Doesn't matter if he's going to Liverpool or if he's staying at Newcastle. Those opening 2 fixtures are no good. Then he's got Leeds away if he stays at Newcastle and Wolves at home. Now, if he goes to Liverpool, obviously we can see their Salah's fixtures for the opening 4. Bournemouth at home, good fixture. Then it's Newcastle away, not a good fixture. Arsenal at home, not a good fixture. Burnley away, great fixture in game week 4. So for Isaac, I think he's just one of those ones I wouldn't be going anywhere near until we have his situation completely sorted. Haaland's an interesting one. 14 mil, he massively disappointed, I think, in general last season. I played my triple captain on this man against Southampton for 2 points the second time round. He's currently owned by 18.4% of the competition. He has an XG per 90 of 0.72, so it's better than Isaac. His assist threat is nowhere near as good as Isaac, so only 0.07 expected assist, but maybe that's because of the fact that Man City were just disappointing in general last season. He had 31 starts, obviously missed quite a few games of injury, which was unhelpful. 22 goals, 3 assists, only 1 goal behind Isaac, and his non-penalty goals were actually up there just behind Salah's in terms of the goals he got that weren't involving penalties. 26 bonus points. Man City's opening fixtures are pretty damn good as well. Like Wolves away, I'd say it's pretty good. Tottenham at home, pretty good. Brighton at home, Albion away, that's also pretty good. And Man United at home, well, they're all pretty good fixtures. So the one player that's currently not in my own draft is Haaland, and that's the one I'm most scared about out of these 4 players. I obviously have Cole Palmer in my draft at the moment, but Haaland is the one that fills me of dread because I know what this man started like last season. And if Man City click early doors, I expect Haaland to probably be the top scoring premium out of these 4 players, if I'm being brutally honest. Then we go on to Cole Palmer. Now, Cole Palmer was electric in the Club World Cup especially in the semi-final and the final. However, his second half of the Premier League season was pretty damn dire. But I think now Maresca might have the players that allows him to unlock the best of Cole Palmer again. And we might see a return to the first half of the season form. And for 10.5 million, I think he's more essential than Mo Salah. He's owned by 50.7% of the comp. Now, these stats probably are changing by the time you watch this video. But he had 0.47 expected goals per 90, 0.27 expected assists per 90. Elite levels, really, for a midfielder. 36 starts, so he pretty much plays every single game. 15 goals, 10 assists. That's 25 attacking returns. Really good for what is essentially probably the best spot in the field. Like midfielders are going to get more points, generally speaking, the forwards, because of that extra point for a clean sheet, extra point for a goal. 35 bonus points. I actually thought he would have had more, but I think that's probably because of the fact that he dropped off so much in the second half of the season. Now, Crystal Palace at home, West Ham United away, Fulham at home, Brentford away. Great opening fixtures for Cole Palmer and Chelsea. I expect him to be the top scoring of these four after game week 4, especially if Chelsea start how they finished the Club World Cup. Cole Palmer was electric. Then we go on to Mo Salah, the Egyptian king. 14.5 million, 57.4% ownership. So the most owned out of the 4 premiums. I also think the most overrated. He also dived off a cliff around March time for a good couple of months, and he saved it in the last couple of game weeks and got a couple of returns there. But he definitely went missing. And I think that he's hit the age now, 33 years old, where he is going to be approaching that hill. And eventually he's going to get to the top of that hill and he's be going down the other side, and then his returns are definitely going to dry up. I think this could be the year. Worried about the World Cup, worried about AFCON. Maybe Salah's stats just drop off. Now, he had 0.66 expected goals per 90, 0.24 expected assists per 90 last season. That's 0.9 combined. Insane. He started all 38 games, a machine. 29 goals, 18 assists, 55 bonus points. Now, he is going to be nerfed because penalties and the bonus points associated with will be nerfed. And he massively overperformed his assists. He was only had like 9 expected assists and he got 18. I just can't see that happening again. But the fixtures, as I said, the first 3 fixtures, I'm not overly interested in Salah. I feel like that's the one potentially you can take on. For that reason, I think Cole Palmer's the essential one you need. The others are luxury depending on the strategies that you're going with in your particular drafts. So moving on to the template team, and I did cover this in my video, my last video, so go and check that out. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. These are still the template picks at the moment. They're the most popular picks in the game for their position. The squad does come in at 110 million, so it's not possible to do it. Kelleher and Raya, the most popular goalkeepers. Wan-Bissaka, Frimpong, Ait-Nouri, Gabriel and Konsa, the most popular defenders. Ironically, not many of them with defensive contribution expected points. Wan-Bissaka is probably the best of those 5, which is interesting. Then obviously we've got Mo Salah, Palmer and Isaac. So 3 of the premiums are 3 of the most popular assets in those positions. Then we've got Wirtz, Kudos and Rogers. Now, Liverpool didn't look overly fantastic against AC Milan, conceding 4 there and only scoring 2, and none of these players were really involved. Wirtz started in the number 9, like fake false 9, but that's probably because Ekitike was not available for the game, but I think that will probably change. Jared Pedro, probably off the back of his Club World Cup form, is still in there as well. And Jared Bowen, who I really like. That is a template team with the most popular players in their positions. So take what you want. Wherever you need to get those players, it's entirely up to you. So on to the first draft I want to look at, and this is a bench boost game week 1 draft. Now I'm going to have a special video on this with a bunch of drafts focused purely on the bench boost, but this draft I put together, it costs exactly 100 million and it contains both Mo Salah and Palmer. It doesn't have Isaac and it doesn't have Haaland. Now with this one, you've got the rotating goalkeepers. Kelleher and Petrovic actually rotate really well across the first 10 or so game weeks of the season, so that way you don't have to worry about them. It's basically the same as picking a 5 million goalkeeper and a 4 million. At least these 2 are going to be the starting goalkeepers, and you can see and assess the form of players, how they go. It's also very good for bench boost game week 1. Then your defenders, you've got Wan-Bissaka, Sunderland away, Konsa, Newcastle at home, Kukureya, Crystal Palace at home. Then you've got Gahey against Chelsea away, which isn't an ideal fixture, but I think it works. And then Milinkovic with Brentford at home. I can easily see that Brentford-Nottingham Forest game being 0-0 first game of the season. There's quite often, not a lot of goals in the opening game week. So for that reason, I think it's quite good to spend up a bit of money on the defence for the bench boost. Then in the midfield, we've got Mo Salah, Cole Palmer. Anderson obviously has that defensive contribution points, and he's also an enabler, as well as Balaba. And I think potentially there could be clean sheets in those games, which makes those two assets good enablers, but also with the ability to actually gain those defensive contribution points for your team. And that's what you need in the bench boost. And Tielemans obviously is another good pick, I think, for that very reason. And we don't know who's going to be taking penalties for Villa. It could well be Tielemans. And then up front, we've got Dominic Solanke, Jared Bowen and Watkins. Again, two very favourable fixtures for Solanke and Bowen. Burnley at home, Sunderland away. And then Watkins obviously has Newcastle at home. Now, you are tripled up on Aston Villa, which I quite like, because for the opening 9 weeks, they had probably the best run of fixtures in the game. That's what I think for a bench boost early doors. I am going to do a full in-depth video on a bench boost game week 1. That's where I would probably go if I was using the chip, and I think potentially spending up on defence is a smart way to go. So on to the second draft I've got, and this is the trifecta of Salah, Haaland, and Palmer. Now, as you can see here, 100 million squad value, you are skimping out on certain positions with players probably you don't want to have to actually be playing in your team. So, for example, the bench consists of 4 million Esteve from Burnley. How many games do you really want him to be playing for you? Goodmanson from playing for Leeds. Obviously, we don't even know if he's going to be starting, but he was signed and you expect him probably to start at right back. Again, 4 million. How many times do you really want to be playing him? And then we've got John Arias. Now, not many people have probably looked at this guy. He was brilliant at the Club World Cup for Palmeiras. Wolves have signed him as pretty much the Cunha replacement. I think he's going to be, I can't believe he's only priced at 5.5 mil. I think he's going to be brilliant. He might actually end up being the top 5.5 million midfielder in the game. He's going to have a lot of attacking returns, I would think. Again, we've got the Kelleher and Petrovic rotation in goalkeepers. Makes a lot of sense. In the forward line, obviously, we've got Beto, who potentially might be the starting striker, but it might not be, which means you would then have to move him on to someone else. It could be Barry, who's come in to challenge for that spot in the Everton lineup. I don't see David Moyes playing with 2, but you never know. Haaland's obviously in there up front, Wolves away. Solanke at home with Burnley at home. Now, it is, I will caveat that Solanke missed the preseason game with injury, and I'm not sure how... I'm still not sold on Solanke as a pick in general, but everyone else seems to think he's a good pick, especially with Tottenham's opening fixtures. Then in the midfield, obviously, we have the Salah and Haaland... the Salah and Palmer combo, which again, nice fixtures there opening day, but then it gets much harder for Salah the next 2 game weeks. Rodgers obviously covers the Aston Villa attack, and I think he's a great pick here. And then at Ballaraba again, you're going to see him quite a lot. He's just a really good enabler at 5 million, and potentially you could swap Balaba, Arias, and Beto and be quite comfortable leaving one of them on the bench. The defence, though, this is where it does get weak, and you've literally just got 3 4.5 million blokes in here. Wan-Bissaka, Konza, and De Kuyper. Again, how many times do you really want to be playing them from week to week? That is the question. But that's what a Salah, Haaland, and Palmer draft looks like. It looks good on paper, but is it better just to spread the money around? So onto the premium defense and the Salah Palmer draft. So this one is ideally, essentially, you're going to be leaving Obi Martin on the bench. Let's go to the bench straight away. So Obi Martin, you're going to be leaving there. Kelleher can swap in with Sells. I mean, you could drop Kelleher to a 4 million rated goalkeeper and just play Sells every single week. That would be quite feasible. Collins and Lacroix, very good for defensive contribution points. Now, I'm surprised that they're only owned by 1.4% and 0.9%, but these two, I reckon, will be in the top 10 scoring defenders in the game this year, along with the other ones that are on the actual starting field. So Murillo with Brentford at home, Kukurea at Crystal Palace at home, and Tarkowski Leeds away. Again, Murillo and Tarkowski, fantastic for defensive contribution points. They hit the threshold in 50% of the games that they both played last year. I think Tarkowski was actually up to 66%. Murillo, I think, came in at about 55%. Don't quote me on that, but it's pretty close. Then again, we've got Balaba in the midfield. Again, just a really good enabler at 5 million. We've then got Ismaila Sarr, Kluivert, Palmer, and Salah. Now, we're just backing in the Egyptian king here, essentially, to continue his form from last year and Cole Palmer to pick his form back up. Again, you could swap Cole Palmer potentially. I just think he's self-essential. He needs to be in every draft as far as I'm concerned. Kluivert, post game week 1 has an amazing run of fixtures for Bournemouth, and I think he covers the Bournemouth attack really well. They haven't lost anyone there, so I expect them still to be really good. And Ismaila Sarr has some hit and miss fixtures, but this man can turn it on. Again, only 2% ownership, 6.5 million. He could be the best 6.5 million midfielder in the game. Then up front, we've got Dominic Solanke starting, obviously with those nice fixtures to begin with once again. And Jared Bowen, 8 million. Again, he is someone that we could go in there as well. Obviously, Gyökeres hasn't been added to the game as of me making this video. That may well change a lot of these drafts around. But at the moment, we've only got to work with the players that are actually in the game. So for that reason, I quite like that premium defence lineup. There are weeks, I think, this season, particularly between game weeks 12 and 19, where it's quite feasible playing 5 defenders. And there's every chance that we could end up captaining defenders this season with the change with the defensive contribution points. So onto the Haaland and Palmer draft. Now, I preferred this one compared to the Palmer and Salah draft before. I just think that it adds, there's just more balance to it. There's more ways into the thing. Now, I've obviously assumed that Trafford has moved, obviously, to Man City already. He hasn't as of time of recording, but we are expecting him to sign there. And I think that potentially he's the number 1 goalkeeper there. I think he's better than Edison, and I expect him to start. Again, he would be rotating with Kelleher. Then we got Strand Larsen sitting on the bench this week because obviously the fact that they've got Man City opening game week. Wan-Bissaka and Konza, really good bench cover. And again, they rotate really well with the other defenders. Again, we've got Milinkovic, just a machine. He's probably my favourite. I actually think that Milinkovic could be the top scoring defender in the game this season. Kukurea again makes the cut. And Udogie, I think Tottenham hopefully will be better defensively under Thomas Frank. There's no guarantee because Brentford didn't actually keep that many clean sheets last year, but you would expect them to improve from what Ange Ball was. So I think Udogie's not a bad pick. I mean, you could go Mickey van der Ven if you don't mind risking the injury, but Udogie seems a lot more non-injury prone. Then the midfield, we've got a bunch of just cheaper enabler kind of midfielders. So Ndiaye from Everton, 6.5 mil. He potentially is on penalties. It might lose him to Barry. They could also sign Fofana, which would be interesting to see how that impacts on Ndiaye. Ismaila Sarr, again, he makes the cut here as well. And Reindeers from Man City. Now, this dude actually has really good stats. He'll be appearing in the differential video tomorrow. I really like him. 5.5 mil, if he starts getting a run of games in that City team, we'll hopefully be able to gauge something from the preseason games. He could be a real cheap enabler that gets you a lot of points. And Wirtz is obviously in there covering the Liverpool attack without the Salah being in the team. Again, it's not meant to be covering him. I just think you need to cover the Liverpool team in some way. So for that reason, Wirtz makes a bit of sense. Then we've got Solanke and Haaland up front, which is a great duo. Again, you can swap Strand Larsen in for weeks, and it actually rotates really well. It's a really balanced draft. A lot of things to like about it. And as I said, I think it just feels better. It feels more balanced than the Salah Palmer one. I don't know why that is. It just is. So then we're on to my own team as things currently stand. And this is what it looks like. I've actually dropped every defender that costs 5 million and more over. So I've actually swapped Kinski out. I don't think Kinski's going to be the starting goalkeeper anymore after I watched the weekend fixtures. He came on in the second half and Vicario started. So Kelleher and Petrovic, as I said, they are the best rotating goalkeepers that I can find that I like the look of, and I know they're going to be starting every single week. Then we've got Wan-Bissaka in the defence. Maybe Maatsen needs to be changed, and it is a bit risky, but I expect him to take over and be the starting left back this season. Emery's shown that generally the second seasons always work out really well, and this dude is electric in terms of his attacking potential, which means I really like him there. De Kuipia is in there as well. I think he's a great asset. He's going to, if he backs up any of his numbers, a bit like Trafford, who's sitting on the bench, with what they did in their previous clubs last season, they'll both be amazing assets. Well, lots of attacking returns and hopefully half-decent defenders as well. Agbadou also makes the cut now. Game week 1, he doesn't get anywhere near the starting lineup, but Wolves' opening run of fixtures the first 9 weeks are incredible, which is why Strand Larsen is also on the bench currently. Then obviously we're spending up a midfield. Now, Saka looked pretty good in the Arsenal fixture against Newcastle. Cole Palmer, as I said, was electric. Wirtz covers the Liverpool attack, and I think he'll play a major role moving forward. I expect him to start the season really strongly. Phil Foden obviously is a debatable topic, and he could well change out in order to fund a move for Gyökeres in the forward line instead of Solanke and he could go down to like a Reindeers or whatever. So I don't have a benching headache, because as you can see in this draft at the moment, I've got a benching headache pretty much every single week, which I don't mind, but it is quite often a bit annoying. Bruno Fernandes is going to be going ownership up. He got a penalty. He scored another goal. I think Ruben Amorim potentially after the weekend pre-season against West Ham, maybe he's realised that Bruno's probably better a little bit further forward, closer to goal. The dude scored twice. He looked unbelievably good, as did Amad, by the way, at 6.5 mil, but I'm not sure if we can go there just yet. Jared Bowen, Solanke, again, the fixtures have just look really nice on paper. So that's what my current team looks like. As I said, when you're looking about it, the only essential pure premium over 10 million that I want is Cole Palmer. Obviously, I've got Saka there as well in this one. Potentially, you could go with a Salah as well. I just don't think at the moment I'm overly sold on Liverpool and on Salah in general. So that brings us to the end of the premium discussion. Which premium do you like the most? Which draft out of those ones did you like the look of as well? I am intrigued to know. I put a lot of research into this, and I thought it'd be handy just to put the ownership of each of those players as well. So let me know if that is something you've enjoyed. Again, I'll be back tomorrow with my second part of my differentials that are under 10% owned prior to game week 1. My second edition of that will be out tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that. And I've been FPLD in it. Before you go, smash a like on the video, and if you haven't already, press that subscribe button. Please feel free to do so. I'll see you again soon.